I doubt that the average tourist has even heard of this place, but on this channel we're not average tourists. We've come to the little town of Groß-Umstadt, home to what is possibly Germany's best kept secret. And it was saved from destruction by one of the earliest examples of a citizen's initiative.
That's not to say Groß-Umstadt has no tourists at all, but I doubt that many of you have seen it mentioned on any travel blogs. It's a small town off the beaten track, so it's easily missed, but it does have a lot of history. The earliest mention of it dates from the year 741, and there's evidence that people have been living here since before the 2nd century. The Protestant church is built on the site of older Carolingian and Merovingian buildings, which in turn were built on the site of a Roman villa. As the centuries ticked by, Groß-Umstadt gradually acquired, if you believe the hype, 7 schlosses. If you're now thinking of this kind of thing, the German word Schloss can really just mean any large house owned by somebody important. So, to be more accurate, there were, within the historic town's roughly square boundaries, 7 stately homes, of which 6 survive to this day. The Wambold Schloss, now a bar with a beer garden. The Palatine Schloss, with a medieval ground floor and a 19th century upper floor. The Darmstadt Schloss, which was originally the Hanau Schloss, the Rodenstein Schloss, the Heddersdorf Court, and the Ganz Court. The Kurti Schloss was demolished in 1963 to make way for an extension to the local grammar school, with only this fragment preserved. But the important part of the town's history, at least for us, begins at the Diet of Worms in 1521, the same conference that tried to get Martin Luther to renounce his 95 theses that the Pope wasn't a fan of. One of the other things the meeting dealt with was how exactly Groß-Umstadt should be ruled. Basically, there had been a war that resulted in Landgrave William II of Hesse occupying the town, which the electoral Palatinate wanted back. The Diet of Worms decreed it should be a condominium, jointly ruled by both. This seems to have been a good decision because during this period, Groß-Umstadt's economy boomed. And this is when the town hall was built in a style that was at the time trending in a big way, and which we now call Renaissance. It dates from 1596 and features over the main portal the coats of arms of the Palatinate and the Landgraviate of Hesse. Most of the towns in this region had relatively plain town halls, but of course the rulers of the Palatinate had a hand in this one, and so it was built in the opulent style more associated with that territory. And if you know what you're looking for, you can find a few interesting historic details.
This is the official Umstadt cubit. It was quite a common feature in market towns generally to ensure that traders weren't ripping off their customers. A tamper-proof measure was often set into the wall of an important public building, like a church or, in this case, a town hall.
But you really need to look up to see the most striking feature, the statues of Justice and Prudence, perched on the roof, representing 2 of the cardinal virtues. Prudence is shown in classic pose with a mirror for self-reflection and a serpent for wisdom and caution. But Justice is putting away her scales, having already reached her verdict, and is now holding her sword aloft, ready to carry out her sentence. That's a rather more sinister side to Justice than we're used to seeing. Apparently, the rulers of Groß-Umstadt, rather than reassuring their subjects that they would be judged fairly, wanted to remind them that punishment was swift. But history wasn't kind to the town, and first the 30 Years' War and then the Black Death hit it hard. As the town declined, so did its town hall, which by 1738 had fallen into such disrepair that the bailiwick of Darmstadt, which by that time was responsible, planned to demolish it and build a replacement in Baroque style. The townsfolk, though, weren't having it and organised themselves into a citizens' initiative to protest. And obviously it worked. The bailiwick gave in, the town hall was saved, and it's now believed that this was one of the earliest examples of such a protest movement in Germany. The building was renovated again in the 1980s with several period features that had been lost restored, but this time without the need for demonstrations and petitions. While we're here though, we should probably just take a quick look at the fountain, another important feature of any marketplace. This particular one is often called Beet, meaning trough, but in reference to the town's wine-producing industry. Originally it had a lion to signify that the town had a court of law, but in 1714 this was replaced by a woman holding the shields of Palatinate and Hesse, and who inevitably became known as the Maid of the Trough. But if you turn your attention away from her and look carefully at the stone base, you might be able to find this lady. She's a nymph and is thought to be related to an old Celtic tradition of dedicating wells to goddesses. There is a great deal more to the town than this, but its historic centre is small and not well known outside of the region. This means that it is surprisingly well preserved and protected from the worst of modern-day mass tourism. If it's hidden gems you're looking for, this definitely fits the bill. By train, Groß-Umstadt is served once an hour from Hanau with additional trains starting at Frankfurt. Take any RB train bound for Groß-Umstadt-Wiebelsbach and get off at Groß-Umstadt-Mitte. It is still an important wine-growing town and holds an annual wine festival in September, which this year, 2025, takes place from the 19th to the 22nd.